Rolf Harris, the TV entertainer who was jailed for a string of indecent assaults on girls, has died, aged 93. Rolf Harris, who was jailed for a series of indecent assaults on girls, has died, aged 93. He was found guilty of a string of offences between 1968 and 1986 and was behind bars for more than 5 years. Before his crimes came to light, he was a fixture of family entertainment in Britain. He died almost 2 weeks ago from cancer, 6 years after he was released from prison. He never apologised to his victims. David Sillito reports.
Rolf Harris, an entertainer for more than 50 years who was revealed to be a serial sex offender. This, the final day of his trial in 2014.
Why won't you apologise, Mr. Harris?
His bag already packed for prison. He'd arrived in Britain from Australia in the 50s, an art student who made his name in television, singing, joking, painting. The Rolf Harris Show, Rolf's Cartoon Time, Animal Hospital, Rolf on Art. When a poll was carried out in the 90s asking for the name of an artist, Rolf Harris was at the top.
Do you think I would leave you?
He was for decades a part of childhood entertainment, a man who appeared to be a jovial, sentimental innocent. He performed at Glastonbury to an audience who treated him as a national treasure. And then came his conviction for a string of sexual assaults against women and young girls. The announcement of his death from cancer comes 9 years after he was jailed. The family statement says he died 13 days ago and there'll be no further comment. For the women he abused, a reminder that it was only in the aftermath of the Jimmy Savile scandal that they felt they could come forward and be believed. And from Rolf Harris, throughout it all, no apology, no remorse. David Sillito, BBC News.
Here, the disgraced TV entertainer Rolf Harris has died aged 93 and has already been cremated. The paedophile died almost 2 weeks ago, but the news only emerged today. The Australian-born presenter was a family favourite for decades and even painted the Queen. But his honours were stripped from him after he was convicted of a string of indecent assaults against young girls. Here's Geraint Vincent.
After 60 years in show business, the last part Rolf Harris played was that of victim. Walking slowly with his wife and daughter into a courtroom where he tried to convince a jury that allegations against him had been made up. It didn't work. He was convicted of child abuse, and the testimony of women like Tonya Lee, who was assaulted by Harris when she was 14 years old, had finally been heard.
I hate that he's ruined my life and that he doesn't even acknowledge it.
Harris was a sexual predator who was also a phenomenally successful entertainer.
Tie me kangaroo down, sport, tie me kangaroo down.
His avuncular style made him hugely popular and trusted.
Kids and water, they love it.
He taught children to swim.
A bit of white would help there, yes.
To paint and to draw, and was once even the face of a campaign to protect children from abusers.
You're giving them advice, go and tell an adult that you trust. And in a lot of cases you'll find that adults maybe don't believe you.
The showman from Western Australia became a British national treasure. The establishment draped him with honours, MBE, OBE and CBE. He was given a BAFTA fellowship and was commissioned to paint the late Queen's portrait.
As his young playmate said.
But when he soaked up the adulation at her Diamond Jubilee concert, his wrongdoing was just a few months from coming to light. His victims started to come forward in Operation Yewtree, the police investigation sparked by the sex crimes of Jimmy Savile.
Do you have anything to say to your victims, Mr. Harris?
At his trial, the jury learnt that one of Harris's victims was one of his daughter's friends, who he'd started abusing when she was 13.
Bindi, anything to say?
After 5 years in prison, Harris was released and lived out his final years in his luxury home on the Thames in Berkshire. His celebrity gave him a power which he abused in the most appalling way. The monster is dead, but the scandal that outlives him is that his crimes went unnoticed and unpunished for so long. Geraint Vincent, ITV News.